What if, I ask you, what if T'Challa became a Star-Lord? That is both the question asked and the title of the second episode of the animated Marvel Disney series What If over on Disney Plus, and the topic that we're going to be discussing tonight. Welcome to the MCU pod. I'm your host, Grant Davis, and alongside me are my buddies, good buddy Elliot Fontanet.
Hey.
And our buddy Martin Thomas, TV
Hey.
and film critic extraordinaire.
Hello. Happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
And man about town.
I don't know about all that, but I'm here.
You are here. Mike was unfortunately busy mopping the Dairy Queen. He could not join us for tonight.
No.
That's okay. We're going to be okay without him.
I did spill my Blizzard there just so I could take his spot.
Yeah, threw it against the wall. You're like, ran off.
Clean that up.
It's funny. I wish somebody could explain to me why there are so many Dairy Queens like out in the country, like not in cities, like not in big cities, but like you drive through small town Texas, there's nothing but Dairy Queens and sometimes Confederate flags.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's interesting when you live in a region, you don't know what's readily available elsewhere. Because my youngest daughter, she loves Dr. Pepper. All through the whole pandemic, I was constantly going to the store to buy 6-packs and 12-packs and cases of Dr. Pepper for her. And she just left to go back to college at DC. And she's like, man, I'm taking my last sip of Dr. Pepper. I was like, what's the matter? You can't find Dr. Pepper in DC? And she said, nah, it's actually pretty hard. There's all these other alternatives, but Dr. Pepper is not readily available like it is here. And then you think about it, well, we do have a Dr. Pepper bottling plant right over in Waco. But, the museum, but you just never think that much about it. But yeah, it's apparently not as easy to get everywhere. So, we see Dairy Queens all over yeah, you're right. They're in the little country towns, but, they're in the big cities, at least in Texas. But elsewhere, who knows?
Yeah.
Because Star-Lord's from, or Peter Quill, rather, he's from Minnesota or something like that?
Missouri.
Okay. I was going to say Minnesota. I didn't know that Dairy Queen extended way up there, but Missouri, that does make sense.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
No, I just always thought of Missouri as a Midwestern state, but it has lately proved itself to be very Southern.
Oh, yeah. It's that Mason-Dixon state.
Yes.
It's like I was like, I only remember he's from Missouri because it's one of the funniest lines in Infinity War. He's like, I'm not from Earth, I'm from Missouri. That's on Earth, jackass. What do you ask? Let me know.
Right.
So folks, yeah, like I said, we are going to be discussing the second episode of What If, and every week we go ahead and broadcast this live over on YouTube. So if you get the opportunity, you can come join us Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time over on youtube.com/MCUpod. And you can join us in chatting about this. And if you put comments over on the side, we can sometimes pop them in as we're having our discussion. And you know what? I'm gonna skip all the other stuff. Let's just go ahead and jump into talking Marvel. I'm not gonna do any of the other house cleaning, whatever it is.
I am so sorry. I didn't know it went live at 9. I was just like, if I show up at 9:05, they'll be fine.
Oh,
oops.
No, you're fine. You showed up on time. So we were able to just roll.
Okay.
And I hate cleaning, so this is good for
me. One note I did want to say before we do talk about this episode, did either of you guys see the newest Eternals trailer?
It was amazing.
I did watch it.
It was significantly better than the first one, at least, the trailer. I was like, okay, this is a different tone. This actually seems like it's a Marvel movie instead of some sad Terrence Malick flip or something.
I never expected to be a Terrence Malick flick.
See, it seems sad and artsy, and I was like, "What is this?"
It's just that, Marvel knows that, like, yeah. We won't give them the good trailer first. We the first trailer is just to let them know who's in it and that we are actually working on it. Yeah. The next couple trailers is when we give you, like, all right, here's what you're getting into, but we're still not going to show you everything.
Yeah.
Oh no, I get the sense it's gonna I really think the Eternals is gonna pull one of those like Chaz Palminteri situations where I really think there's gonna be some big reverse with the characters, like because Marvel always will sort of twist things. But between this Eternals trailer and the Dune trailer, I am incandescent with anger and rage that it's not as safe as I want it to be to go to the movie theaters right now, because they look gorgeous.
Right.
And I think it was Denis Villeneuve. I don't know how to say his name. Villeneuve. He said, "Yeah, he said good. Like going to see the Dune movie, seeing it at home is like putting a speedboat in your bathtub, and like watching just the shots in the Eternals trailer. I really want to see it in the theaters." And I'm just like, come on, people, like, get your shit together.
Well, Elliot, something I can tell you is that the way the film reps have worked with the theaters, it's been a big point of making sure everybody wears masks and sits far enough apart from each other, social distancing, and only take your mask down if you're going to eat. So they've kept it safe.
Okay.
Up until the last couple weeks. I went to 2 screenings last week, and I was like, wow, nobody gives a shit anymore. This is bad. It took them so little time to get lax about this.
You sound like Ralph Wiggum in The Simpsons, like, I'm in danger.
but something I can say that for people who are smart are waiting till a movie comes out and waiting a week or 2 after it's already out, and then going where there's hardly anybody there.
Yeah. I actually bought a ticket for Shang-Chi, and I'm not gonna go and use it just because I feel like it's important to support that movie. Not that Marvel or Disney needs the money, but I like that it's a minority-led superhero movie, and I don't I would be there otherwise. So it's like $10. That's not a big deal.
I will take your ticket and I will attend.
You did. I'll give it to you.
There you go, Grant. Don't let that go to waste. I mean, don't you know that it's now trendy in Hollywood to support an Asian projects? They do it for the virtue points now.
Yeah, I went and saw Black Widow opening weekend, and there was no one in my theater. There's like 4 other people. It was like, okay, I don't know. It felt fine. We all sat right next to each other and just like coughed at each other, but it was
and with Scarlett Johansson, when the people looking over going, see, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like, where's my money? And then Shang-Chi, I guess the movie has started screening for some people, and it sounds like a lot of the reviews are very excited, very positive about it.
Well, they are positive right now, but it could be a mirage because they've only shown it to fans so far.
Okay.
Yeah, don't put any stock in early reviews. But I did see it earlier this week.
Oh, you did?
I did. Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to hear what you have to say later.
So do you think?
It's no. It's just that it's embargoed.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because the embargo is lifted if you want to talk about it on social media, but it's still in effect to talk about it in an actual review. And with this, I don't know where that falls.
Oh, don't mess with it.
And we've had trouble lately where an embargo was 11 a.m. on a Thursday morning, but we talked about the movie at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday, or like I guess it was technically Thursday, but it was still 9 hours ahead, and we got an angry email about it. So I'm just kind of like, all right, just trying to just back away and not have an issue.
Yeah. Stay as far away from that line as you can.
All right. Interesting. I'm still very excited to see it. Well, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about What If Episode 2. Like I said, it was called What If T'Challa Became a Star-Lord. And this is the second episode, written by Matthew Chauncey and directed by Brian Andrews. The IMDb synopsis for this is: the rough and tumble space pirates, known as the Ravagers, abduct T'Challa instead of Peter Quill. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Pretty straightforward. We like to start this, as always, with our snap judgments. Yeah. If we're gonna get dinged for anything, it's gonna be for ripping off that song. Martin, would you like to go ahead and go first and give us your first impressions about this episode?
Well, my impressions of this episode was great. I know you probably got a lot of flack for your feelings about the first episode.
It was mixed, actually. I think with our audience, a lot of people were just kind of like agreeing with me. They had some gripes about the first episode.
Well, you know what? It was one of those things when you were voicing your gripes and other people were getting mad at you. Because there's a lot of people who really like people like me who've seen the first three and they like the first one best. And to me, of the three, it was the weakest. And for a lot of the reasons you said. Although I even rewatched it again, and halfway through I was like, yeah, but I still like this episode. Like halfway, it won me over. But the thing you said about how it's like, okay, what if Peggy Carter was Captain America or Captain Carter instead of Steve Rogers? And it's like, almost nothing changes. It's just swapping two different people.
Yeah, she had to follow his same story beats in a way.
Yes, but with what if T'Challa had been abducted instead of Peter Quill, so much changes. This episode for me was like watching what would have been the better sequel to Guardians of the Galaxy, but also watch when you get to this whole episode and I go, wow, this really does prove that Peter Quill is just trash. Because with T'Challa in that role, everything works out really well for everyone, and they're all better people for it.
Yes, I mean, I definitely think that's part of the intent here. Is they're drawing a clear distinction between Peter Quill and T'Challa, and how everyone reacts around those two people. This is not going to help the internet think that
I know
he's the worst Chris.
The worst Chris.
Yeah.
I so strenuously disagree. I cannot.
Well,
I'm so angry. And it's so clear. But go ahead,
Martin. You're done with your assessment?
I mean, I'll have more to say later. But
okay,
sure.
Elliot, jump on in then.
Okay, I guess I was good. Like I'm gonna still try to be fair to this episode, but now I have to bury this episode to save Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in the original Star Wars.
You really don't.
I really do. Apparently, I'm gonna just bury this episode. But my snap judgment or my hot quake is that these shows, I don't view them as pieces of composed media so much as I could view them as pilots. It's just a season of pilots.
Okay.
And there are things that if you want, because I watched this episode 3 times because it was bothering me. Because it's good, it's well put together. The animation's amazing. I really like the art style, but it's fine to do. It's exciting to do a what if, and to theorize and go, well, what if T'Challa was abducted instead of Peter Quill? But the problem is they don't stop there. Like they don't really. I don't need a complete line drawn for me, but they don't show me enough of how things happen, and I worry that it starts to cheapen the rest of the MCU because you undercut your decisions made in other movies, and you can say, but it's just a thought experiment. But it's like, yeah, but you're telling me a conversation or even a series of conversations over the course of years, decades, could have stopped the Mad Titan. Then he's not that mad. He's just sort of Rush Limbaugh with a workout routine. Like it's like, oh, so now you're telling me that one guy, T'Challa, could make the Ravagers not like money? And again, I was gonna let a lot of this go, but I really do have a problem, and I'm taking it surprisingly personal. I don't know why.
I know you
are very much invested in the Guardians movies, though.
Well, because I really like the second one. Like, I think it has one of the best endings of any of the MCU movies. But I think it really sort of starts to undercut the characters in the MCU because you're basically calling Peter Quill trash. Not you, but like the show is. It's like, man, if he wasn't such a man baby that couldn't get over his shit in 80s shows, man, the entire galaxy would be better. And fuck that guy. and it feels almost metatextual at this point. It's like, man, we really miss Chadwick Boseman, but man, fuck Chris Pratt. Like, it really felt like they went out of their way.
I have nothing against Chris Pratt.
No, not you. I'm talking about the creators.
But I can say personally, all those things you said about Peter Quill, I felt that in Infinity War at the moment where he ruined things. I was like, oh, this fucking guy.
No, but the point of that characterization in Infinity War, everything he did in Infinity War, he literally did before in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Like, his entire plan for Thanos was to put him to sleep. He did that to Ego. He had Mantis do that, and then he just reacts without thinking. He did that in Volume 2. It was completely consistent.
Say that part back again.
It was completely consistent.
No, before that. He reacts without thinking.
Yeah, but that's part of his character.
Yeah, he's impulsive.
Yes. And it is. It's consistent. But I feel free to not like that.
No, you're free. You're free to not like it. I worry about when you contrast, and I think it's a completely idealized version of T'Challa, because he wasn't this much of a Boy Scout as he is in this show, as he was in the Black Panther movies. They
really do, make him just like a perfect Boy Scout here, like you're saying.
And it's just like, and then like another point, and this is what I'm talking about. They're extrapolating a little too much. We know what I forgot the name of the Digimon Hansu's character.
Yeah, Djimon Hounsou. I forget his character's name also. But that was one of the things I liked so much about it, was that his character, that little bit he shows up in the first Guardians, I was like, man, I dig this guy, and he's taken out. So it was great to have him have so much more to do here. And his character was wonderful.
But the problem is, we saw him earlier in Captain Marvel.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, he doesn't seem like he'd be that guy as he is in What If, and they don't explain that difference, like, at all. Like, you're just like, okay,
he's kind of silly and playful. Yeah.
It's like, is it just that you got to see T'Challa Star-Lord, and that turned you into a fanboy?
But isn't that the James Gunn way to take any character, no matter how serious, and make them kind of silly and whimsical?
I guess.
I mean, I like the idea that T'Challa's existence in the broader galaxy of the MCU had an impact on Korath's life, that even though he seems a bit more hostile and maybe even jaded in our regular timeline of the MCU, the existence of T'Challa does give him someone who he finds he roots for, even though he goes a similar path, to the point where when he confronts him, he can't help but fanboy and shows like a more genuine side of his personality. Like, those things for me, like, track in the grander scheme of like this butterfly effect of if one little thing changes a lot of trajectories. I like that more than seeing him still go to Morag or wherever and still get the Power Stone, because that felt like that's a plot for plot beat from what Peter Quill's Star-Lord went through. And I would think that those plot lines wouldn't coincide in that way. Although going to the Collector tracked for me as far as his trajectory.
Because the Collector is supposed to be kind of like a big figure in all this, and yet in Guardians he's treated like a joke and taken out so easily. So here, like for a lot of these characters that I thought they were brought in just for like James Gunn does this, where he'll take a character who has a rich history and go like, yeah, but I got a great gag for you. You perform that gag, now get the fuck out of here. But here, a lot of these characters had a lot more brought to them, especially with the Collector, because he was taken out so easily before. He just seemed like a joke. And here you go like, no, okay, now this is the Collector. This is why he was somebody to be feared and was able to collect all these
look, and I'll give the show a lot of credit for that, because it makes sense that he'd be a lot more feared, because you don't have the Mad Titan out there. There's sort of a power vacuum. And if you don't have somebody tracking down the stones and probably heading off every one of your conquests, then you're not going to get the headdress of Hela, the goddess of death. Like, you're just going to mostly just try to work within. You're going to try to work on the side, on the cracks, so that you don't run up against Thanos because you think he's probably going to kill you, and you're right. So
right, that's ultimately his fate, right?
Yeah.
I want to step back a little bit to your defense of Peter Quill, and maybe this is getting a little ahead of ourselves here, but I don't think that this necessarily was dragging his name through the mud, because ultimately, if you contrast this with our main timeline does show the value of Peter Quill becoming Star-Lord even more so than T'Challa. T'Challa is great as Star-Lord and arguably better in most ways, but where he isn't, and why our prime timeline Star-Lord is the most important, is because this is a man who would, when it comes to it, challenge his father and take down his father, Ego the planet dude, whatever his name is, Ego the living planet.
Yeah.
Ego the Carpathian.
He's the one who uses his own immortality. He forsakes immortality and grandiose power for love and friendship, and he does it almost without hesitation as soon as he learns what his dad's actually up to. Spoiler alert. And I think that's a testament to that character, and it's unique, and it's why ultimately that timeline survives and why it's important that he becomes Star-Lord. So as much as this one puts like a rosy spin on all these other aspects of why T'Challa could ultimately be better, T'Challa's likely living in a timeline where Ego does take over the galaxy, and they're all dead soon enough anyway.
Yeah,
possibly.
And honestly, it's not even the show's fault, and that's why I'm not gonna add this into my evaluation. But there's just and I am not Chris Pratt's publicist. I don't get paid enough. I wish I did. But there's such this thing, like this energy online, where like online it's like high school. They like to pick winners and losers. It's like who's the guy that we hate and who's the guy that we love, and it's
I ignore all that.
And I have not gained that skill yet, and I'm going to try. But I've seen it a lot online this week. It's like, man, we could have T'Challa, what a king. It's like, and Chris Pratt, just problematic trash. And it's like, play the character, guys.
Can I bring up the fact that in this episode, it is very clear that Drax still has a family because of T'Challa?
Yes,
right.
Convince Thanos to lay down his arms, which that's why I think it's more of a pilot, because they're setting up stuff that you want to see. Like I want to see how he does that, because you got to explain it more. You can't just say it's I convinced him, that made more sense. It's like, no, it was probably like they kept meeting in battles and he's maybe working on them the entire time.
Well, I love the idea that there was ground there for a philosophical debate that could have fixed that problem and made Thanos see a degree of reason, or at least take a step back for an alternate solution to what he saw as a dire issue. And the fact that Black Panther was taken out of play in Infinity War before he ever even got to meet and potentially confront Thanos is great. It's like, this is one of those people who does have that true heart of a hero, that character that could appeal to someone in with just a discussion. I mean, that's Superman. That's even kind of what we get with WandaVision when the two visions face off. Like they don't have a physical battle. They just like have an intellectual discussion, and they're like, all right, deuces. See you later.
Honestly, Grant, like that's a wonderful point. And honest to God, that just made Infinity War and What If better for me right now, because you're right. Black Panther doesn't get to talk to Thanos at all. And it's and he's probably too far gone by the time he gets to Infinity War, but maybe
it's all conflict at that point.
Yeah. But if you watch the What If though, Thanos keeps on coming back to it. He's like, it does make sense.
No. That's the good thing about it. It's like Thanos is chill and he's smiling, which is fun, and he's able to like just hang and be a dude. But he's still like, I feel like I had a good idea. I mean, yours is better, so I went with it. But hey, I'm sticking to my guns.
I love everyone else is like, it sounds like genocide.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. But but it was random. See, so that way.
I love that they even comment on when they find the embers of Genesis. It's like, hey, that could feed a bunch of people. What about that, Thanos? And he's like, shut the fuck
up. So I wanted to ask you guys, now that we've seen 2 episodes. Martin, you have seen a 3rd episode so far, right? Have you seen more than that?
Yes. Yeah. No, only the 3.
Okay.
What's the 3rd one?
I guess it'll be out Wednesday. What I'll say without spoiling anything is that it goes back to the first Avengers movie, and it's a murder mystery.
Okay.
It's thematically it's different than the others.
Okay. I guess I wanted to ask, we've seen these 2 episodes discussing, I guess, thus far. Do you think these present otherwise a better version of the universe than the one that we are in?
No. I know. I think at their heart, they succeeded what they're trying to do, which is present an alternate universe. Hey, what if it went this way?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for us, I'm not talking any kind of multiverse thing, but these couldn't exist without what we've already seen. They on their own, you'd be like, oh, okay, I guess that's cool. But as much as I love the 2nd episode, and it's probably my favorite of the 3, it's so much of it is because of what has come before and what I can play it off of.
Right. It all operates on the context of the other films being in our catalog, which is kind of that other question I have of how does this work for someone who doesn't know all of the movies?
I don't think it works at all.
Back.
Oh,
no?
Yeah, no.
This is just fan service.
I think
it works. It works if you've seen Endgame and Infinity War and Black Panther. If those are the only movies you saw, it works.
I mean, it does, but it feels like they felt the freedom to have it be so continuity focused since they knew fewer people were going to watch it because it's animated.
Yeah, exactly. It's animated. It's on a pay service. So if you're watching this, it's because you've been invested already. Nobody's going to accidentally stumble onto this.
No, because like my sister-in-law, she was like, I was like about to watch. She's like, "Oh, what are you gonna watch?" I'm like, "I'm gonna watch this what if episode." And she's like, "Oh, should I watch it?" I'm like, "Well, if you want to watch Black Panther, Guardians of the Galaxy, Guys of Everyone 2, Infinity War, to watch Infinity War, you need to watch dun 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 dun." And it's like, this show is the dissertation of your thesis when you should have started in kindergarten.
Yes, you're right. How did I miss the Guardians of the Galaxy movie? Yeah, you had needed to watch all those for this to make sense.
I mean, I did watch both of these first 2 episodes with my daughters. They're 6 and 8, and they seem to follow along without. They kind of know some of the other Marvel movies. I think they've seen a few of them here and there, but they were laughing along. They loved Korath. They were laughing at a lot of just the beats of this episode and thought it was really fun. But I do think that they were missing a lot of the, secondary layers.
Well, it could be one of those things where you can watch something because there's several people I know who I work with, grown ass people in their 30s and 40s, or even 50s who watch Watchmen. And I was like, oh, you've never read a comic book. How's this going to work for you? And they loved the TV show.
Yeah.
Just absolutely loved it. So, sometimes somebody can come into something and watch it and thoroughly enjoy it without knowing all the other stuff.
Right.
So, and because we're so steeped in all that, it's hard to really have an idea of what's going to work for somebody who doesn't know who doesn't know.
Yeah, those are really good points. And I think I will revise my answer. Like especially the first episode, if you watch that just without knowing anything else, it could play as like this cool like World War II like sort of campy send up, and it's like the art design is just so good. Like the animation is of a quality. It looks like a better version of the Atlantis animation from like the 2001 movie.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, that was one of my favorite Disney movies, but like it just looks so good and it's easy to follow. I can see you enjoying it, but like it's like It's like you're eating a burger when you could be eating a steak, and it's like, well, it's good.
You got that guy just ready in the background.
I just looked behind. It's like, oh yeah, he's always right over my shoulder.
He just got Black Panther action figure ready to go. Another question I had when watching this, now that we've gotten 2 episodes, do you guys think there is a chance that some of these episodes are connected in the same, they're in the same universe?
And
do you think these first 2 are?
I've heard that, and it's weird because watching the second and third, I don't see any evidence of it. But there's the rumor that Peggy Carter connects all of the series, but at this point, I don't see how that is.
Yeah,
if she's able to channel the Space Stone, maybe she can just jump between.
I mean, I guess
universes. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think they're in the same universe because we saw the Captain America shield
that's right
in the background of the Collector, and there wouldn't have been one in the Peggy Carter universe. But I do think
excellent point.
Yeah, they might be building to like the Watcher. He doesn't interfere, but maybe there's something that happens that he has to.
Legends of Tomorrow. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, he pulls together like a multiverse Avengers, because one of the things Marvel's really been working towards is Marvel doesn't want one Avengers. They want like 6. They want 6 different lines. They want a cosmic. They want a street level. They want a world level. They want a magic, and now they want multiverse.
And Dark Avengers. Don't forget that.
Yeah, they want their Thunderbolts. Yeah, they're Dark Avengers because they're like, look, money is great, but more money is better. So we're money.
If you don't have a religion, then what else is there to strive for but money?
No, I watch a lot of Lindsay Ellis videos, and she did like a breakdown of the 90s Disney, and there was one quote that really, to me, encapsulates Disney for the past like 30 years. And I think it was, I forgot the guy's name. He was the longtime CEO during the 90s.
Michael Eisner?
Yes, Michael Eisner. And he's like, I think he said something to the effect of, our obligation is not to make art. We may incidentally make art, and that's great. It's just like, it's one of the reasons that Kevin Feige is so great in getting like a James Gunn and getting people that are artists and Chloe Zhao, because if you don't, it's just going to be soulless. Yeah. And I worry about Marvel getting away from the creators, because you watch something like this episode of What If, and I really did miss James Gunn's touch. I'm like, it didn't feel like Guardians, and it didn't quite feel like Black Panther. It didn't even feel like a real mashup of the two. It just felt completely different, and it felt very corporate.
I felt almost the opposite of that. I mean, okay, I won't say the opposite, but I will say that I love the first Guardians to death. But with Guardians 2 and even the new Suicide Squad, I felt like when James Gunn is given too much leeway, he has a tendency to go, yeah, the story's fine, but man, I got this. Let's stop the story because I got these great gags and these great jokes to tell.
Yeah,
and just keep derailing the momentum. And that was the thing about this episode. I mean, one, would it be in 30 minutes? They had to just hit the beats and go. But I was like, wow, this is more like what I want, where the humor's there, but it's just not overtaking. It's not stopping the car to try to make everybody laugh. And
in fact, quite the opposite. It seems like condensing these stories into 30 minutes, they're having to cut away a lot of fat and make it really lean and efficient as much as they can. So the fact that they're able to find and mine some humor out of this too is just impressive.
No, it makes me go like, man, if they could just get another 15 minutes or maybe even another 30 minutes so they could really expand, would be, really nice. But if I got to go with 2.5 hours or 30 minutes, and those are my only 2 choices, I'm like, well, if you can do it in 30 minutes, then go ahead.
I'm the opposite. Like, I want that. I agree with you about James Gunn. When he's left his own devices, he will just sort of stop a movie. But he is so good at weaving in themes and giving you those moments that, like, the moment, like, where, where Yondu decides to die, for his son, is one of the most emotionally affecting moments I've ever seen. And you can't get that really in a 30-minute show.
I felt like You know what? Never mind. You love it.
No, it's okay. It's okay to disagree.
I just felt like it was so telegraphed and tropey.
Mm.
And I was just like, really? Are we really going to do this?
No, and you
Like,
know what?
I was like, you don't have to do this. He's already decided to make the sacrifice. You could just not kill him because this is what.
No, I think you have a good point. And one of the things that I remember you said a long time ago, you said, I remember it's like it was on a podcast. I'm not going to say the name of, but you said, you know, somebody was like talking to you and they were really young and they're like, oh, I listen to jazz, and you're like, you're not old enough to like jazz yet. And and one of the things that I've learned is things will hit you different over the course of your life.
Yeah.
And I think because like that, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 the weekend, like the Sunday after I got married. And so maybe it hit me. I was already in a very soft spot.
I've had that. You know what, dude? I've had that happen.
Yeah.
I saw some stuff recently that just hit me. As well, like I had an event in my life, but just, you know what? That movie Luca. I was sitting here on a Friday night like now, watching it on my computer, just enjoying it, just having a good time. And it got to the end, and I was crying buckets. And I was like, what is going on? It's not even a sad ending.
Yeah.
It's just very sweet.
Like the fish boy came out. Everybody's happy. It's all good.
Yeah. But the town, everything, it was just so sweet. I was just lost it. So I get it.
If you say Luca, it's funny. Like, I swear to you, like when I think about that movie, it's hard for me not to call it "Call Me by Your Name." Like, I'm not trying to be funny.
You're right. No. You know what? It takes place in the same setting. It's still, you know, a little Italian town. I just saw it more as like a Miyazaki movie that was done with, you know, Pixar.
And they even named the town after Porco Rosso.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, Grant. We totally left off.
It's all good. I was along for the ride. I was like, okay, this is all good. We can go in that direction. But
Grant needs a TVA for Elliot. That's what he needs. It's like, just keep on diverging, damn it.
We just rein it back in. Let's talk a little bit more about the Collector. Because we get a different take here, and you talked about this a little bit at the beginning, Martin. But the Collector, he is brothers with Jeff Goldblum's character, right. From Ragnarok, the Game Master, right? They're both supposed to be pretty powerful beings, but they both kind of meet a similar end here, where the people they've preyed upon are turned against them at the very end, right?
With jobs.
Yeah.
You know, it's a funny thing because rewatching the episode, I was like, okay, well, he got his karma. He even says it out loud. But I was like, well, he's a very powerful being getting attacked by a bunch of people who've just been locked in a cube. So how long will it take before he just slaughters them all?
Yeah, their muscles are atrophied, and they're like, yeah. We can take you. But it was a pleasant surprise seeing this different take, and I wonder if Benicio del Toro could pull off that kind of physique. This guy looks like He-Man.
Dude,
I don't think so.
That, I mean, I know Marvel will make you do, you know, go through they get you a trainer and make you go through a serious regimen to get ready, and it's usually just to have 2 or 3 scenes where you take your shirt off. Like once the audience has established, oh, this guy's buff, then it's all CG and muscle suits, so it doesn't even matter after that. But the kind of shape that guy was in, I don't know if that's possible unless you have one of those Bill and Ted Face the Music naked muscle suits on.
Yeah, that's like young Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe. I don't even know.
I was gonna say even more so than that. It's more like the Tina Turner saxophone player.
Wow, reaching back.
Yes.
But he was a fun villain, especially for a really short role here. I love him having access to all the weapons that he's collected and just kind of rifling through them, and he settles on Hela's helmet and what were they, dark blades or whatever. I think that gives even more power to her character and what she was using, because she was slaughtering all the other Asgardians. I guess it kind of tracks.
Absolutely. Plus, every time she put that helmet on and kind of pulled it back, you're kind of like, ooh, that chick is hot, man.
That's badass. You can kill me, I guess.
Why is my neck hot?
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Howard the Duck?
I thought he
Oh.
was the best I've ever seen him in this show.
Yeah, everybody loves Howard the Duck, post George Lucas.
Yes.
It's all about Howard's redemption, and him popping up in the Guardians of the Galaxy was that like, oh, he's there. Oh wait, and now he's gone. He didn't do anything.
Nothing.
So he's another one of those characters from the movies. Because to be fair with the movies, there's so many characters. How can anybody get a lot of screen time? And for all we know, a lot of stuff was shot, and it just came down to like, yeah, we can't keep this in. So it's good to have these characters get another say, a little bit more fleshing out, and for us to get to spend more time with them.
Well, I tell you,
And I don't know who voiced Howard, but they were perfect.
Seth Green.
Oh, was it Seth Green? Okay.
Yeah.
I tell you, before we move on from Howard the Duck, if anybody hasn't spotted it, it's a little treat. Go back and watch Avengers Endgame, and when Wasp shows up at the portal scene, look behind her because there's Howard the Duck with just a huge gun walking through one of the portals.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not as familiar with Howard the Duck in the MCU, or just in Marvel rather. Does he have any abilities? Is he just a drinking duck?
I think
that's like a detective or something.
No, he's just a talking, drinking, cigar smoking duck. And he has a hot girlfriend.
Okay,
and that's kind of it. But yeah, her name's Beverly. Another hot redhead, super sexy redhead that he has sex with. In some of the comics he does.
Oh, God.
Then that's about it.
that's rough because if you ever look at duck penises, man, no, thank you.
God.
Are they barbed?
Yeah, they're like messed up. It's like a corkscrew thing. It's awful.
Hey, I'm not kink shaming anybody here.
I will. Don't fuck with ducks. That's what I'll say. And then we have Nebula, and
Yes.
she is remarkably a different character, despite being voiced by the same actress.
You know what? I think that's one of the things I liked about this episode. At least it gave me a good warm and fuzzy. That there's all these tragic characters who are just kind of living a happy life now.
Yeah,
It's like, you know what? Things didn't have to be that way.
Yeah, it's like
Drax isn't horror like losing all of his family. Korath has a new family and he's happy. Thanos.
T'Challa
and
must
then
have got
Nebula.
T'Challa must have got to Thanos pretty early because Nebula doesn't have a lot of that trauma.
Right.
So it's like but she does have the eye, so he was probably like it's probably about 20 years ago. So I imagine T'Challa convinced Thanos when he was like 13. Like I want to see that story.
Well, it's in Wakanda. That's how he was raised. My
It's
friend,
just-
what you do here with your daughter? This is no way. Let me show you.
So at the very end of this episode, we have Quill at Dairy Queen. He's listening on his headphones, and Ego shows up, and the Watchers are basically implying that this could be the demise of this particular planet.
Yes.
He leaves it open-ended, of course, but taking these episodes into the larger context of the events at the end of Loki, opening up the multiverse with WandaVision seemingly being able to tap into the multiverse to kind of make a connection once again with her kids, and seeing these kind of alternate takes here, knowing that, as well as like Kang was purposely like culling other timelines, and what am I trying to say about this? I'm wondering if we're seeing other timelines that are all destined for something tragic.
Oh,
Even like if Ego comes and takes over everything, that's not the ideal timeline. That's not the one that King was making sure was the one surviving.
but here's the problem with that. The problem is, what do we define as tragic? because what if say the Earth is destroyed and but they stop them later. What if there's an alien planet that would have got destroyed in the prime timeline that doesn't get destroyed in this timeline? So it's like,
right. I mean, I guess it's relatively
and it's all relative. It's all depends on your perspective as far as what is tragic and not.
But if we take into context like Infinity War, if our timeline is the one that Immortus, or He Who Remains, I guess is his name, right? If our timeline is the one that he chose to stay, it is also the one in which Doctor Strange sifted through millions of options, 4 million options or whatever, to see the one where Thanos is successful with his genocide and then they're able to reverse it.
Right.
And that is the one of the like very few timelines where that's actually successful and able to happen. And that is the one that He Who Remains allowed to exist, this reality. These other ones are splintering off where T'Challa becomes Star-Lord. You see that opens the door for Ego potentially, or Carter becoming Captain Carter. If that opens up a portal to that tentacle monster guy, Shigaroth or whatever his name was. What does that mean for potential problems within that timeline as well? I guess.
I tell you, you saying that, it actually just made me realize something, and I have a theory. I think because Marvel, one thing they love to do is they never waste a second of screen time. They're always building. They're because they love money, and I love money too, so I'm not knocking them. Especially now that I'm a dad, I could use a lot more money. But like that joke did not land, but we're gonna keep going.
It's not a matter of landing.
No. We're dads. We just laughed on the inside.
No, it's okay.
I got it.
Like we just felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna need to be something like the TVA, but not as draconian, and not to reset timelines, but to solve disputes. I think the sequel series, not the sequel series, but there's gonna be an additional series to What If. It's gonna be like a multiverse animated series. And what we're seeing is the principal players, probably minus T'Challa, because Chadwick Boseman's not around anymore, and I don't think they want to recast him. I think what we're going to see is a multiverse Avengers that are going to have their entire own series to step in place of the TVA and to not prune timelines, but to solve disputes between timelines once they get to the point where they notice each other.
I certainly think that this could be building... and I discussed this a little bit last week as well, but I think this could be building to what is eventually the fifth Avengers movie, in which we do have Kang consolidating and conquering different worlds within the multiverse, right? And what we have to have is not only all of the Avengers attack Thanos, but we have to have all the Avengers and different variations of them from different universes come together to fight Kang. And that's going to be a CGI kaleidoscope of bonkersness.
I can't show it, but I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about that. That's going to be so cool.
Well, it makes me wonder if they will do a thing, because Marvel has, for the most part, stayed out of doing that. That's always been a very much a DC thing. And every time I hear about multiverses, I get the opposite of goosebumps, because I look at what DC Comics has done with their infinite crises and screwing up their continuity and just making a mess of it and then trying to fix it again. Like every time Superman or Batman are clearly about to turn 40, they go like, all right, it's time to just reset everything. So when Marvel's stepping into this, I'm like, okay, well, especially the MCU, like, all right, guys, but they did do this before, and then they set up a thing where all the multiverses were colliding, and they had Battle World, where it was like, hey, if you want to be the one that stays, you got to fight it out. And they finally consolidated everything back to something, with some things from the different Battle Worlds that have stuck around, like with their Ultimate Universe, when one of the times they split off with an Ultimate Universe, and then they went, all right, Miles Morales is cool.
Yep.
The rest of y'all, I don't know.
Hit the bricks. It's like And you're completely right, because like if you look at what they did with the Ultimate Universe, where they hired Jeff Loeb to just go and demolish that entire universe, and it still makes me so angry, because I really liked that line, but what they did is they took everything they could good out of it, and now they have Miles Morales on a kids show that with Peter Parker and Spider-Gwen. So they're like, oh no, we're gonna harvest. We're gonna see what's good. We'll take that. Yeah. The rest of y'all can go fucking hit the bricks.
Yeah, exactly. What Ultimate Fantastic Four? Yeah, we don't know what that is. Go. Ultimate X-Men. Some of that stuff we cherry picked, but the rest of y'all get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be, they're spinning a little bit out of control here with the MCU. Like, they're making a lot of different characters and properties, and it could just get excessive at a certain point where it's hard for even the hardcore fans to be able to track everything.
Yeah, which is how it is in comics. I mean, Kevin Feige has proven himself to be a pretty good architect of things, and even when something goes wrong, they'll come back later and fix it. They'll either in a TV show. I mean, as much as people were like, "Man, Age of Ultron," they went with WandaVision and went like, "What was that you didn't like about it?" Boom, 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 boom. Now, how about that now? With Infinity War, it's like, oh, you didn't like Thor: The Dark World? Well, now it's important again because of what we just did.
You beat me to it. It's like, you're going to like this movie. We don't give a shit. This movie is essential, and you cannot skip it.
But it is like they go like, yeah, we know where we went wrong, but we also have a plan to fix it, to make it better later. So I mean, look, even somebody who's right all the time will eventually be wrong. So they could get in over their heads, but until they do, I'm not gonna predict that happen.
But here's the thing: even if they get in over their heads, the multiverse, and especially like a battle world, is an easy way to do a soft reboot, because then you can just reset it, and it still relates back to the old continuity. So the hardcore fans are happy, and then if you pass the nostalgia cycle, because I mean they're already 14 years in now. They only have to get to 20. They only have to get to 2029, and they're in the nostalgia cycle at that point. And so
that's true.
And so at that point, if you just reboot it, you're like, well, we can just do Iron Man and shit again, but this time it's the reset universe.
And the only soft reboot they've done was with the Hulk.
Yeah, but this would be like an explained soft reboot. It's like, okay, well, this is the new version. It grew out the old version, so it's not technically a reboot, and they're just completely stunting on DC as always. And I don't care what people can get mad at me if they want. This entire What If show is a flex.
Marvel is always flexing on DC.
It's just like, come on, guys! Like they're not just lapping you. Like, y'all are outside of the stadium. Like, y'all need to get it together. Like, Suicide Squad was good. It was really good. But come on, guys.
Yeah, I think it's the only good DC movie I've ever seen. You can bring up the other ones. I'm still going to say none of them are good unless you go back to Nolan's Batman movies.
No, well, that doesn't count. Of the current continuity, Suicide Squad is the only one I can say is good without any caveats. The other ones, I'm like, it's good, but you have to X, Y, and Z. It's like, the first Suicide Squad, I'm like, it's good, but it's only because Will Smith really wants it to be good. And he even mimics his character. He's like, if I have to drag you across the finish line, I'm going to make this a good movie.
Yeah, y'all are going to make me look bad.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to look good no matter what happens in this.
People bring up Shazam or Birds of Prey. Are you with me?
Yeah, I you know what? Yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm just not crazy about any of them. It's weird because I don't like Joker, but I still think it's good. It just didn't appeal to me. That one.
Yeah,
I need to see it, so I can't judge that one.
You still haven't seen it?
I didn't have it. I don't like Joaquin Phoenix, honestly. So I'm just like, I'm good.
Okay.
But I need to see it. I'm not looking forward to it.
Fair enough. I really didn't like it, but I recognize the good filmmaking that it was taken from Martin Scorsese. But hey, it's one of those.
That's a bold one. Nicole Jackson said Suicide Squad was horrible, worse than Wonder Woman 2.
well, let me get this straight. So, and I appreciate you
Oh
watching
wait,
the
hold on.
podcast.
Thank you. No, I really like Wonder Woman, the first one. I genuinely like that movie a lot.
Yeah, but she's saying that Suicide Squad 2 was worse than Wonder Woman 2. I'm sorry, in Suicide Squad 2, do they just inhabit a guy's body and just don't even talk about it?
Elliot, don't go down that road because Wonder Woman 2 is the worst. It's one of the worst things ever.
I only just saw it last week and I was like, what happened with this film?
Yeah, that's the thing. You watch it, and when it starts out not that good, you go, well, it's just starting out, and a lot of these movies do this in the beginning, and it'll get better, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, and then you're just kind of watching. You can't pull away because you're like, how much worse can it get? And it goes like, oh, you just wait, buddy.
I've already committed to this. Damn it.
My favorite part of that is it has the Transformers 2 travel logic, where it's like,
oh yeah,
we're gonna take a jet. We don't know if it has gas across the ocean, and we'll just magically get to Egypt. And they did the exact same thing in Transformers 2. And everybody crucified that movie for it, rightly.
No, they act like the country of Egypt. Or is that where they went, or was it Jordan? I can't remember.
Well, they made it up. It was like a made up Middle Eastern.
Was it Korak or something?
Korak.
Yeah, but they act like it's Round Rock. Right?
Yeah.
Once you get there, it's so small you can easily find the person, as if it's not huge and it could be anywhere in there. It's like, nope, he's right there. There we go on that road. There he goes.
No, you're completely right. It had that weird '80s jingoistic, which is fine for the '80s movies because that was the time. But it's like 2020, guys, and you're acting like this is the kingdom of the Crystal Skull or some shit, or the second Indiana Jones movie.
Honestly, early on, I mean, like the first fight with her at the mall. Look, I know it's blasphemy for people to hear this when I say it, but it's one of the things that really made me know that Spider-Man 2 was going to be a piece of trash, because it starts out where the big set piece is Peter Parker, who's a genius, can't figure out anything to do other than deliver pizzas. That's and which is really like they couldn't figure out anything for him to do. And so with this, it starts out where Wonder Woman, she is wasting her time stopping jewel thieves at a mall who are probably stealing from a costume jewelry shop to begin with. And there's nothing else going on that she has to stop to do that. But that's what the best you guys could write. I was like, this is giving me that feeling, but hopefully things will turn around and it'll get better. But the things that kept going wrong was like, are there any adults working on this? Like every mistake was something that was easily preventable.
Yeah.
Like with the first movie, I get it. The final act is not that good. The whole switcheroo with Ares and CGI, whatever. Every effect can't be great, but it's a letdown after the first 2/3 of the movie was so good.
Well, to be fair, they ran out of the Captain America 1 script to copy off of.
Yes, okay, I'll give you that. But then you figure with the second movie they can correct all that, and the trailers look pretty good, and you just have no idea of just how much worse it was going to be. Yeah, that whole thing of stealing a plane, it was like, hey, we stole a plane from a museum that they somehow had completely gassed up.
Yeah,
operational, which no one does.
It's like it's a plane. It's a plane in the '80s. Like, there's a lot of moving parts, guys. Like, it's not just going to be ready to go.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. The funny thing is with the new Suicide Squad, I liked it, not as much as most people, but I've been reading through a bunch of Suicide Squad comics just for the Loose Cannon podcast I got to do that was going to be tomorrow, but it'll be pushed back next week. There's so much from that the Suicide that James Gunn took that are directly from the comics that I didn't even know. I just thought, oh, okay, he's doing this. It's like, oh no, that was actually already in there.
No, but you had a really good point about James Gunn, that he will stop the movie just to have this gag, and it almost it gets in the way of the good stuff he's doing in the movie, because it takes up so much time that I wanted more time with that battle at the end with that cool ass gun that Deadshot puts together off of his suit. Like, show me more of that instead of these gags about.
And then he just loses the gun.
Yeah, about Polka Dot Guy's mom. It's like,
wait, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna stop you and show you what you just did. You said Deadshot. but it was actually
Oh.
Bloodsport. because Bloodsport
I didn't mean
was
to.
so very much because he's so Deadshot. It was just like, okay, we couldn't get Will Smith back. Get off our backs.
No, you're. Oh my God, man! If
But then they throw in Peacemaker just to make it the same character. Like we have the same backstory. There's nothing really interesting going on here.
But to bring it all back, what if this?
Oh yes, welcome to welcome
is
to
that what we're
MCU.
talking about? Yeah, that's right.
No, this is my fault. So I'm gonna be the one to just yank it back and say my fault. This episode was I actually enjoyed it. I wish that it's like when I was in school, one of the best teachers I ever had was actually a class I had to transfer out of because it would have tanked my GPA. But she gave me one of the best lessons I ever had, where she said, "Elliot, you write like it goes from point A to point B to point E, and I need you to show me A, B, C, D, E." And my big critique with What If is that it goes from point A to point B to point F. And I wanted to show me just a little bit more of the connective tissue so that I'm not taken out of the narrative, because I'm like, wait a second. Why does Yondu just automatically show this guy the universe? Like, he's still a bad guy then. He's still working for... Is he just because he's so guilty from the stuff that happened in Guardians 2? Like, I wish they had done a little...
We can't return the kid now. I guess. We can't return him now. We already kidnapped him.
I wish they had done a little bit more... A few more drafts of their scripts. And they
well, it was just one of those things where when you get to the end of Guardians 2, he has already expressed his regret at like, yeah, I'm kind of sorry that I treated you the way I did. I did it for these reasons, and I was to protect you, but and maybe I was a little bit Severus Snape on this, and I feel bad. Now I'm sacrificing my life to you. So it was almost like with T'Challa, he had a chance to go like, this kid's much better, and I don't want to be shitty to him the whole time.
Well, it could be and
T'Challa clearly is a very good convincer who lays down an argument, and you go like, well, damn, I was ready to tell you off, but now that you say all that, I didn't hear it before. Okay.
Right. It's like, here's why you're going to keep me on this ship and take me wherever I want to go. All right, cool.
And I agree with that. I just want a little bit. I wish they had done a few more passes on the script to just show me a little bit more about how that happened.
Well, that means it's got to be a 45-minute show instead of a 35-minute show.
Yeah, you need more time.
I would love a 45-minute What If.
These poor animators are like, no.
Exactly.
We're struggling to put out 30 minutes of this. Come on.
I'm sorry. They got a bunch of animators and storytellers that need work. I'm a job creator. What can I say?
Yeah, if only it worked that way. The people with the money don't want to give out more.
Oh, I know. It's one thing we actually I try to explain to like students when they're coming out. I'm like, you're gonna make you're focused on the salary, but you don't know anything yet. So think about why they're paying you that much. And they go, oh, I'm like, yeah. Get ready for 70, 80-hour work weeks.
Yeah, no, I tell anybody, if you go to work and they show you where there's cots and showers,
oof,
you don't want to work there.
It's like whenever they start saying, if you read a posting and it says, looking for somebody who likes a fast-paced culture that can adapt to change, run away.
Yeah. And I told Grant this. My canary in the coal mine is asked to walk around and see the employees. And if you see Dilbert cartoons posted up, do not work there.
You did tell me that.
Yeah,
that's a great advice.
If you see Scott Adams, run away.
That's so good. Okay, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up there. This has been a delightful conversation about Marvel and the DCU and everything, whatever.
Because it's a 30-minute episode, it's hard to sketch it out.
No, I loved it. I'm being sincere. I loved it. Just like I loved the actual episode, and I'm excited to come back next week to talk about episode 3. But before that, I want to say thank you to everyone who came and tuned in and listened and chatted with us, and thank you so much to Martin Thomas of doubletoasted.com for joining us.
Blast. Thank you guys. Thank you for inviting me. I hope I get a chance to do more of these with you.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back on. Elliot, thanks as always.
Thank you so much. And I want to say thank you to, I think her name was Nicole Jackson, who
Mhm.
had the comment about Suicide Squad. I may have gone after you, but I appreciate you watching. And I am just a horrible person. So that's not you, that's me.
No, she said something really stupid. It's okay.
Oh,
Whoa. Hey, Elliot doesn't have the monopoly on being a horrible person. There's room for Martin as well. Yeah, thank you guys so much. And we'll be back next week, next Friday, to talk about episode 3. So just make sure to tune in then. And until then, MCU later. Bye.
Oh.